the title of the presentation may ring a bell to some of y'all. It's based on a quiz we developed several years ago to highlight a set of winning behaviors we've identified as the most important to sales success. Now, some of these skills and behaviors have remained the same, but we've updated, and as B2B business development has changed and evolved to keep pace, we've updated them. So even if you remember some of the old answers, some of the new answers will surprise you. Let's go to slide 3. So here's a question. In terms of, we're sort of formatting it in the way of a quiz, and I'm going to show you the answers. So you might want to just sort of guess as we go along, and you're welcome to put your guesses into the chat window if you'd like. So a master sales hunter is most likely to say, I set goals and I achieve them. I have boundless energy and stamina. Professional sales is my career entity. I'm 100% confident in my abilities. Now, all of those things are useful. Let's go to slide 4, Vicki. But the answer we believe to be the most important is to be professional. That's the core sales skill, which we believe is actually more of a mindset than a behavior or a skill set in particular. The most successful sales reps, they're the ones who treat professional sales as their career identity, and they approach it with the same commitment to quality and integrity as any other respectable profession. Next slide. We call this sort of this persona of this person that represents this quality as the sales pro. And this skill is near and dear to our hearts of business-wise because it gets at the core of why we do what we do. Because our job is to help salespeople sell better. Now, of course, a big piece of that is helping sales reps connect with more of their best prospects using trustworthy contact data. But it's also just as important to approach your job as a sales rep with pride and dignity. So here, our intrepid sales professional is saying, professional sales is my career identity. I dispute the perception that sales reps are untrustworthy. Just like a lawyer or a doctor, I offer my clients and prospects a valuable service. I take pride in my career as a trusted advisor. And we've included a quote here from one of our favorite and most reliable sales thought leaders, Anthony Iannarino of the Sales Blog. He asks, how much should your clients have to pay for your advice? And it's a great question to keep in mind because it gets right at how this professional mindset separates sales masters from the competition. So if you as a sales rep don't provide professional level advice and guidance separate from your product, you're just another commodity. Your advice is worth something and you should take pride in that fact. Next slide, Vicki. And so here are some of the key takeaways, tips to remind yourself about the importance of sales professionalism. Job versus profession. You know, a job is something you do because you have to, right? A profession is a career you pursue with energy and passion. Profession requires training, education, and dedication. So if sales is a profession, then you provide a service, again, separate from your product. What is it? How do your clients benefit from it? Finally, make it about your own standards for quality integrity. Live up to those, and there won't be any reason to doubt you. The reason we started here, by the way, is that a professional approach to sales sets the stage for everything else we'll discuss in today's presentation. Vicki, the next slide is about the next quality that we think is one of the 7 most important. A master sales hunter is most likely to be either a good listener or a savvy questioner or a prospect pain anticipator or an effective rapport builder. So I'll immediately flip now to what we believe is the most important of these qualities, and that is to anticipate your product's pain. Now, for those of you who have been in sales as long as I have, you know, spin selling talked about, you know, asking people what their pain is. What we believe is that the one that separates today's most successful sales reps is the ability to anticipate their prospects' pain points, the challenges holding them back from achieving their objectives and addressing their priorities. Let's go to the next slide, Vicki. So I'm on slide 9, and we believe that this persona is best described as the sales doctor. Anticipating a prospect's pain starts with the notion that your prospect needs a reason, not just to buy, but to engage with you in the first place. So before you can give them a reason to engage with you, you need to know what matters to them. So the word anticipate is critical here. It's not just about discovering pain by asking open-ended questions. Anybody can do that. But when you as a sales rep anticipates a prospect's pain, that separates you from the competition by showing your prospect you provide unique value. And the idea of an appointment with you, a conversation with you, becomes that much clearer and harder to resist. Again, we've selected a quote from Anthony Iannarino to reinforce this concept. He says, "The truth is that you should know where your client has problems and needs better results without even asking." And let's go to slide 10. So here are a few takeaways about prospect pain that can be helpful. Don't ask, know. Anyone can ask questions to uncover pain. Successful reps these days already know the answer. There's a difference in intensity between major pain and a minor problem. The latter is merely convenient, while the former is what drives action. There's also a difference between present pain and future pain. Your prospect may already be fully conscious of their present obstacles to their success, but if you can show them the obstacles they are likely to face in the future and thereby change their perspective, they will perceive more value and have an even bigger reason to engage with you. Deborah, do you have any thoughts on that?
I think whatever your prospect's issues may be, not only is it important for you to know it, but it's also important in the way you discuss it. And so we're not suggesting that you come in and saying, I know everything about you and I know what's bothering you and I know how to take care of it. Obviously, that's not the way to gain trust and build rapport. At the same time, knowing it and asking the questions in the right way and perhaps saying, we find that A, B, and C are happening to our clients and prospects. Do you find this to be true, or how does that affect your situation? And it makes the point, and it allows your client or prospect to start thinking about things in a different way.
Thanks, Deb. So on the next slide, which is 11, we talk about the next quality. And here's 4 possibilities. Let's think about which one of these is the most important. Focusing on solutions, offering insights and value, knowing your product inside and out, building long-lasting relationships. So obviously, again, all of these qualities are relevant and contextual, but what we believe is the most important one is to offer your unique insights. So continuing with the theme from the previous winning behavior, today's most successful sales reps are the ones that take the next step from anticipating a prospect's pain to providing the insights and ideas that will help them overcome that pain. And so the persona that we've put together is the sales expert. And since these insights and ideas come from you, your knowledges, your experiences, your knowledge, they are unique, and your prospects can't get them from anywhere else. So when you successfully demonstrate your unique insights to your prospects, they will see the value in engaging with you. So in a recent survey by the Rain Group, which is a sales training and consulting organization headquartered in Boston, they asked B2B decision makers what factors they take into account when agreeing to connect with the seller. And this one I think is really, really insightful. Speaking of insights, 63% of buyers indicated that they consider whether the seller offers something of value in terms of agreeing to meet with them. The only other 2 factors that scored higher were 1, whether they had a clear need for the product or service, obviously, and 2, whether they had the budget. So 63% said whether or not the seller offers me something of value is elemental to agreeing to connect with them. And the next slide, Vicki, is slide 14. And so these are really some ways to think about engaging with your prospects. And a great way to home in on the value you provide as a professional sales advisor is to imagine your prospects asking, what do I get in return for doing this thing, even if I never become your client? So 3 really good answers are knowledge about the key forces and trends that will shape your prospect's industry, intelligence about your prospects' competitors and how they prepare for future success, and perspective, which would be new information that will help your prospect redefine what their success really looks like and to help them clarify the decisions they face as they seek to achieve it. Deborah, any thoughts on that?
When I started in sales a gazillion years ago, product knowledge was the key because the salesperson was the bridge to knowing about a client's products or services. Today, our prospects can find out virtually everything they need online. And so it is those insights and understandings and extra information that are of real value to our prospects.
Absolutely. So the next slide is the next quality. And the 4 questions or 4 potential answers is which of these qualities are the most important for a master sales hunter? Cold calling and emailing consistently, focusing on their strengths, mastering digital sales channels, or avoiding digital sales channels? And the answer is combining your prospecting tools. So flipping back to that, we talked about in the first answer that are cold calling and emailing consistently. We're talking here about combining your prospecting tools. And it boils down to the fact that sales reps who strictly stay within their comfort zone or who focus on or avoid any one particular prospecting channel are less flexible, less strategic, and less effective. In contrast, sales reps who combine email, cold calling, and other channels in a strategic, streamlined sales cadence have higher odds of generating leads, opportunities, and appointments. And digging into this a little bit further, we've constructed a persona around that, which we call the sales engineer. So listen to this crazy statistics, which sort of emphasizes the importance these days of being a sales engineer. This statistic is from Sales Loft, and they say that response rates are 77% lower and 91% lower for prospecting cadences that use only email or only cold calls compared with multi-channel cadences. So successful sales reps understand this fact, and they use a multi-channel cadence to considerably boost their odds. Also, in 2022, successful sales cadences increasingly use some degree of automation to improve efficiency and effectiveness. And now, as I talk about automation, which I'm going to dig into in just a second, I also want to emphasize when we talk about multi-channel cadences, we're not necessarily talking about applying every single part of the sequence cadence to every single prospect. You may decide that you want to call certain, and you should decide that you want to call some prospects more often than others. Your A prospects, the ones that are going to give you the most revenue and profit, are certainly the ones that you want to spend as much possible time doing both calling and emailing. Whereas your C prospects, you may never call and you may only email. So let's look at automation as a way to help facilitate that for everyone, but also to make sure that you're at least touching those folks that you may not have time to call. And on the next slide here, Vicki, which is slide 18, here at BusinessWise, in terms of what we mean by automation, is that many of our clients use automated email prospecting, or AEP, as we call it, as a core part of their lead gen strategy. And here's an example of a typical AEP campaign that we manage for our clients. We work with clients to develop a series of 3 messages, an initial message and 2 follow-ups. And whenever a prospect replies, the sequence automatically stops for that prospect, since they're replying to you, and you're interacting at that point with your prospect directly. Each prospect receives a sequence of, over the course of a couple of weeks, with intervals of up to a week between messages. And nicely, new prospects are added only gradually to the campaign, maybe 100 new prospects a day, so the campaign runs over several months. And the idea is that AEP is running in the background, delivering replies gradually to your inbox as long as the campaign is active. And so when we look at this combination of channels and automating, here's a few takeaways. First, we all have a lot of tools in our sales toolboxes these days, but any one of our tools is only as effective as its user, what we do with it. So it's the decisions you make about how to use and combine the tools at your disposal that make the difference. And with that in mind, think about what you're trying to achieve in the various facets of your business development strategy, and then select the right tool for the job. And then finally, automation, as we just discussed, can lead to dramatic efficiency gains that you can use to rewire your entire business development strategy. Any thoughts, Deb?
It's always interesting to think about technology, which we all love and use all the time. And while we have other presentations where we focus more on cold calling than on the technology side, the real key here is the combination of different ways that we can get our message across to our prospects. It's often easy to just rely on what we as an individual prefer, and think that our approach should be the rule and not the exception. And yet our prospects have, at different times of days or different days, have different approaches that will resonate with them. And then sometimes nothing resonates at all. So, technology brings us great opportunities, but one thing it doesn't give us is more time during the day. So it really gives us more opportunities to do more things in less time, and sometimes with less frustration. But here at Business Wise, we are big believers in the different options and the importance of outreach, both by phone and by different technologies.
Thanks, Deb. Moving on to the next quality of the master sales hunter. The master sales hunter is most likely to A, deftly manage conflicts, B, exhibit empathy, C, follow their sales process, or D, get consistent results. And the winner is process. So obviously all of those behaviors, again, are beneficial to today's sales reps, but we believe the one that really sets the best apart from the rest is the ability to build and follow a strong sales process. We call this persona the sales machine. Now, why is that so important? So here you have our sales machine saying, the outcome is up to my prospect, but the process is within my control. A strong process is win-win for both my prospect and me. And if I focus on delivering value, I'll earn trust, respect, and more sales. And as Anthony Iannarino puts it, sales process cannot start without a conversation. Sounds kind of obvious, but it cannot start without a conversation with a decision maker or a contact who agrees to meet with you. So when your focus is on results that are further out along the process, you lose sight of that all-important first step, the initial engagement and conversation, working toward that. And so when you build and follow a process centered on giving your prospect a reason to engage and speak with you, you open your funnel to more opportunities that drive your process forward. So the key takeaways here is, since you execute your process confidently, since you need to do it confidently, you need to be able to trust it. Build a process around what you feel comfortable delivering value for your prospect. Once you build it, reinforce it through regular structured sales meetings and debriefing with your colleagues so you get everyone on the same page and working the process in sync with each other. It doesn't mean that everybody needs to mimic each other exactly, but sharing ideas with your colleagues is really helpful. And finally, write your process down, then measure the effectiveness with which it propels opportunities through your pipeline. And when it falls short, as it sometimes will, because it's never-ending continuous improvement in this sales world, we revise, refine, and improve it. Deborah, any thoughts?
Absolutely. I think that process of calling again, even when it doesn't work, having a plan, because most of your phone calls, for example, are going to end up with voicemail. So you want to be prepared with what you're going to leave in your voicemail, as well as an email follow-up. And what's great about having BusinessWise is even if you haven't talked to the person, you already have access to their email. With our new user interface, you can put your templates in and just push a button and get that email sent out. So having the right process for that first sale, which is getting that first appointment, is critical to your success.
Absolutely. So Vicki, we're going to slide 23. And here we have our next question. So is the master sales hunter most likely to A, gain experience on the job, B, be likable and sociable, C, network strategically, or D, invest in formal training? Well, I hope y'all are likable and sociable. I think you are. We all try to network and strategically, but we believe that the number one of these four qualities is to invest in training. And that is that as a sales rep, there are a lot of ways to get better at honing your skills, but these last two behaviors are the biggest differentiators when it comes to sales success. And the first of them is that sales masters invest in formal sales training. And we call the person who does, the persona is the sales athlete. And this is a perfect follow-up to our first winning sales behavior, which is the importance of viewing sales as your career identity, professional. Because if sales is a highly skilled profession on par with other professions, then it's not something you can learn on the fly or wing or expect to succeed at the highest level. It requires training. And using sports as an analogy, amateur athletes and weekend warriors can get by without training, but the professionals, they learn from the best. And the difference is in the results. As our sales athlete puts it, I know the difference between a sale and a lost opportunity is often very small. When I invest in sales training, I learn what works and what doesn't. And I gain a critical edge on my competitors. And the numbers bear out this concept. According to ATD Sales Enablement, continuous training results in 50% higher net sales per employee. Pretty cool. And here's the key takeaways. So you can see now how this relates back to some of the other skills we've covered, like planning and professionalism. When you treat sales as a skilled profession based on methodical processes and protocols, the value of formal training becomes clear. It helps you learn and build critical skills. It helps you still stay current so that when buyer trends change, you'll be ready. And both of these benefits require you to stay consistent because continued success requires continuous training. We would strongly urge everyone to explore sales training options available to you and enroll your sales reps. And we'd be more than happy to provide recommendations. Deb?
Part of the training process is practice. And none of us probably likes role play, but I think it is the single most critical and best preparer for continuous improvement. So if your companies aren't doing regular role play, consider starting it yourself. Ask me anytime on how to do it. We can get you set up. We have what we call our call clinic every Friday, and practice and role play leads to the best results that I know.
Yeah, and Deb, thank you. Sales training and, role playing is sort of an adjunct to it, of course, and a reinforcement of it. And this really sort of gives us our answer to the next quiz here. So while being a lifelong learner is very great value, being a student of psychology is a lot of fun, trying to figure out our buyer behavior, and certainly being a talented teacher to help others gain the skills that we've developed are all important. We believe that consistently role playing is one of the really key differentiators. People that don't wait for the sales call to occur to sort of practice on the fly, but people who are sales performers, this is our sort of final persona quality. If they believe that if training is a logical follow-up to sales as a profession, then role playing is the logical next step after that. And why that is because if you're trained to learn certain skills and tactics, and then you practice those skills and tactics in order to perform them optimally, you get better. As our sales role player would explain it, I know I'll perform better if I practice my craft. The more I rehearse challenging scenarios, the more confident I'll be when they arise in the real world. And if I don't role play, I may fail to convert prospects into clients. A 2016 publication by Brainshark found that when training is reinforced by in-the-field coaching, companies see up to 4x the ROI from training programs alone. One of the things I think about is when I'm on a sales call and I have one of those like brilliant light bulb moments where the words that come out of my mouth are, like brilliant. and I wish I could sort of capture that. That's the function of role playing. So you don't have to sort of rely on those occasional moments of brilliance to happen, but you have them all already sort of stacked up as an arsenal of things that you can turn to when questions are asked. And the key takeaways here on slide 31 is, we know role playing isn't, as Deb said, isn't every sales rep's favorite thing to do, but it really does work. We do it often here at Business Wise. In fact, we have a standing Friday afternoon cold call clinic where a variety of phone prospecting scenarios are practiced, and the consistency has helped make our reps more comfortable with the format, and more importantly, has helped improve their skills tremendously. Again, we'd be happy to offer ideas about how to structure role play, suggest topics, but here are a few quick tips on effective role play. First, it's not just about indoctrinating sales reps with skills and scripts. It's about making them more comfortable and confident through increased repetition. Role play helps you confidently be yourself. When you practice playing the role of the prospect, you gain perspective and empathy that can help you when you're on the other side of the conversation. And finally, positive feedback is more likely to result in behavior change than negative feedback. The ideal ratio, by the way, is 6, when you get feedback, is 6 positive comments for every 1 negative comment. Deb?
So, Scott, you were terrific 6 times over, right? I want to thank everybody for joining us today.